You have been told that the right words can summon wealth, that a 1-minute prayer can rearrange your finances, that spiritual language alone will deliver the security you need for retirement and legacy. This is a dangerous confusion, and it has cost many people years of their lives waiting for results that will never come. Prayer does not replace discipline, but it can do something far more powerful. It can transform the person who prays into someone capable of building real, lasting wealth through ethical action and sound judgment. The ancient understanding of prayer was never about controlling outcomes. It was about strengthening character, and character determines everything when it comes to money, family, and the legacy you leave behind. Today we examine the principle that separates those who drift through life hoping for rescue from those who build foundations that cannot be shaken. I am Rabbi Ben, and I understand why you are here. You saw a title promising wealth through a 1-minute prayer, and something inside you responded. Perhaps it was hope. Perhaps it was desperation. Perhaps it was simply curiosity mixed with exhaustion from a world that feels increasingly unstable. I do not judge this. I have counseled hundreds of people who reached a point where they wanted simple answers to complex problems. They wanted reassurance that everything would work itself out if they could just find the right words, the right ritual, the right formula. This desire is human. It is natural. But it is also dangerous when it replaces the harder work of building a life on solid ground. The real issue behind financial anxiety is not money itself. Money is merely a measure. The real issue is the absence of structure, the erosion of discipline, and the fear that time is running out to secure what matters most: dignity, stability, and legacy for those you love. When we feel powerless, we gravitate toward promises that require little from us. A 1-minute prayer sounds manageable. It sounds merciful. But if I am to serve you well, I must tell you the truth from the beginning. There are no shortcuts to financial security, but there is a path. And that path begins with understanding what prayer can actually accomplish and what it cannot. The trap of spiritual shortcuts is ancient. Every generation faces it in different forms. Today we see language about attraction, manifestation, and energy used to promise results without effort. These words sound elevated and profound, but they often mask a dangerous confusion. The belief that faith can replace action, that intention can substitute for discipline, and that speaking words into the air will rearrange material reality in our favor. This is not faith. This is fantasy dressed in spiritual clothing. The psychology behind this is understandable. When we face genuine hardship, our minds search for relief. We want to believe that a hidden mechanism exists, one that will deliver us from our problems if we can only unlock it. But every time we choose the shortcut, we weaken the muscle of responsibility. Every time we invest hope in a formula instead of a foundation, we delay the moment when we finally face the truth. Wealth is not attracted. It is built. It is earned through years of small decisions, ethical behavior, and disciplined action. Spiritual shortcuts do not just fail to deliver results. They actively harm us by stealing time, eroding confidence, and replacing honest effort with passive waiting. If you have tried shortcuts before and felt disappointed, you were not doing something wrong. You were simply trusting a premise that was false from the beginning. The good news is that once you understand this, you can redirect your energy toward what actually works. The real question behind any prayer about wealth is this: what are we truly praying for? Are we praying for comfort, or are we praying for the strength to grow? Are we asking to be rescued from responsibility, or are we asking for clarity to meet that responsibility with courage? This distinction matters because it determines whether prayer becomes a tool for transformation or merely a ritual of avoidance. Prayer cannot replace action. It cannot override the laws of cause and effect. It cannot make you wealthy while you remain passive. But prayer can do something far more powerful. It can reshape your mind. It can align your intentions with your values. It can train your focus toward what is truly important rather than what is merely urgent. When prayer is understood correctly, it becomes a daily act of self-governance. It is a moment where you stand before reality as it is, not as you wish it were, and you commit yourself to ethical action regardless of the outcome. This is not dramatic, this is not mysterious, but it is effective because it changes the person who prays, and that person then changes the world around them through better decisions, stronger discipline, and clearer purpose. The stakes are high. You are not just managing finances. You are shaping a legacy. You are modeling responsibility for your family. You are proving to yourself that you can be trusted with what matters most. If you are ready to face this honestly, write one sentence in the comments about your biggest current challenge with money or stability. Prayer is not magic. It is not a mechanism for bending the universe to your preferences. It is not a transaction where you offer words in exchange for outcomes. If you have been taught to approach prayer this way, you were taught incorrectly. Prayer is a tool for reflection and alignment. It is a practice that trains your awareness, sharpens your focus, and strengthens your capacity for patience and ethical decision-making. When you pray with true intention, you are not asking external forces to change reality for you. You are asking for the wisdom and discipline to respond to reality with integrity. This is the principle that anchors everything else. Prayer shapes the person, not the world. Consider how this applies to finances. When you pray about money, you are not summoning wealth from the air. You are creating a moment where you examine your relationship with resources, your fears about scarcity, your habits around spending and saving, and your values regarding generosity and stewardship. This examination influences every financial decision that follows. Prayer trains you to pause before acting impulsively. It reminds you of long-term goals when short-term temptations arise. It grounds you in gratitude, which protects against entitlement and recklessness. Over time, these small internal shifts accumulate into measurable external changes. You make wiser investments. You avoid destructive choices. You build systems that compound over years. This is not a miracle in the supernatural sense, but it is miraculous in the truest sense. Transformation through disciplined attention to what matters most. There is an ancient parable that every farmer understands instinctively. You reap what you sow. This is not merely a spiritual metaphor. It is a description of how reality functions. If you plant seeds in prepared soil, water them consistently, protect them from harm, and give them time to mature, you will harvest crops. If you plant nothing, you will harvest nothing. If you plant poorly, you will harvest poorly. No amount of prayer will change this fundamental law. The farmer who prays for a good harvest but refuses to plow the field, plant the seeds, or tend the crops will go hungry. His prayer was sincere, but it was disconnected from the effort required to fulfill it. The same principle governs wealth. Financial security is not the result of wishes or declarations. It is the result of preparation, consistency, and disciplined action over time. The real miracles are not supernatural interventions. They are the compounding effects of small ethical decisions repeated daily for years. $1 saved becomes $10 invested. $10 invested becomes $100 grown. $100 grown becomes security, options, and breathing room when life becomes difficult. This is the law of sowing and reaping applied to economics. Spiritual language and practical reality are not separate domains. They are two ways of describing the same truth, that intention must be followed by effort, that faith must be expressed through work, and that the harvest belongs to those who plant with foresight and tend with faithfulness. If you want wealth, you must behave like a farmer, not a gambler. Money does not create character. Money reveals it. Wealth is a test, not a destination. When resources increase, your true habits become visible. If you are disciplined, wealth strengthens your capacity to serve others and build lasting security. If you are impulsive, wealth accelerates your destruction. If you are generous, wealth multiplies your impact. If you are fearful, wealth magnifies your anxiety. This is why so many people who suddenly acquire money lose it quickly. They were not prepared internally for what they received externally. The money did not change them. It simply exposed what was already present. True financial success is not measured by the size of your bank account alone. It is measured by how you handle resources when no one is watching. Do you pay your debts on time? Do you honor your commitments? Do you save before you spend? Do you give to those in need? Do you plan for the future while managing the present? These questions reveal character, and character determines whether wealth becomes a blessing or a burden. Ethical success includes peace of mind, not just profit. It includes reliability, not just riches. It includes contribution to your community, not just consumption for yourself. When people speak of attracting wealth, they misunderstand the mechanism. You do not attract wealth through words. You attract wealth through reputation. Reputation is built slowly through consistent ethical behavior. When people know you can be trusted, opportunities find you. When they know you deliver on your promises, partnerships form naturally. When they see you treat resources with respect, they entrust you with more. This is the real law of attraction. Integrity compounds over time into opportunity. If prayer is to have any real power in your financial life, it must be prayer that strengthens self-governance. The only effective prayer is one that changes you, not one that attempts to manipulate outcomes. A 1-minute prayer can be valuable, but only if it is structured correctly. It must focus on 3 elements: gratitude, clarity, and responsibility. First, gratitude. You begin by acknowledging what you already have, even if it feels insufficient. This is not self-deception. This is training your mind to recognize resources rather than obsess over scarcity. Gratitude protects against entitlement and grounds you in reality. Second, clarity. You ask for the wisdom to see your situation honestly, to understand where you have failed, and to recognize where you must improve. This is not asking for external rescue. This is asking for internal illumination. Third, responsibility. You commit to specific ethical action. You name one thing you will do today that aligns with your values and moves you towards stability. This is where prayer becomes practical. It is the bridge between intention and behavior. The prayer takes 1 minute, but its effects last all day because it has shaped your mindset before you make decisions. This is not magic. This is mental discipline applied through spiritual practice. When repeated daily, this prayer rewires your relationship with money, work, and responsibility. Internal change leads to external outcomes. The world does not bend to your words, but you bend your actions toward wisdom, and wisdom produces results. Share which principle resonated most with you: intention, effort, or responsibility. Let me give you the structure of a practical 1-minute prayer that you can use immediately. This is not a formula for summoning wealth. This is a template for daily mental discipline. You can adapt the language to fit your own beliefs, but the structure must remain intact. Begin with acknowledgement of reality. Say aloud or in your mind, "I see my situation clearly. I have debts, or I have fears, or I have made mistakes. I do not hide from this. I accept responsibility for where I stand today." This grounds you in honesty. Next, set your intention. Say, "Today I will make one decision that serves my long-term stability rather than my short-term comfort. I will choose discipline over distraction. I will honor my commitments even when it is difficult." This aligns your will with your values. Finally, commit to ethical action. Say, "I will review my budget," or "I will make that difficult phone call," or "I will save $10 before I spend on anything unnecessary." Name something concrete and specific. This transforms the prayer from abstract ritual into practical commitment. The entire prayer takes 1 minute. Its value is not in the words themselves, but in the mental framework it creates. You are training yourself to pause, reflect, and choose wisely before the day pulls you in 100 directions. This is how prayer becomes useful. It is not magic. It is structure. It is a daily reset that keeps you aligned with what matters most. Consistency is the key. 1 minute every morning for 30 days will reshape your financial behavior more than any wishful thinking ever could. Prayer without structure is merely emotion. Faith without systems is merely hope. If you want spiritual clarity to produce financial results, you must translate that clarity into concrete routines. This is where many people fail. They experience a moment of inspiration and then return to the same chaotic habits that created their problems in the first place. Inspiration fades. Systems endure. Here is how you turn faith into structure. First, create a written budget. Prayer asks you to be honest about your resources. A budget is that honesty on paper. It shows you exactly where your money goes and forces you to make conscious choices rather than drifting through the month. Second, establish automatic savings. Prayer asks you to prioritize long-term stability over short-term gratification. Automatic savings removes the temptation to choose poorly. The money moves to safety before you can spend it. Third, commit to continuous learning. Prayer asks for wisdom. Wisdom requires knowledge. Read 1 book about personal finance. Take 1 course about investing. Speak with 1 person who has built wealth ethically. Knowledge compounds like interest. Fourth, plan beyond yourself. Prayer should expand your vision beyond immediate needs. Ask yourself, what legacy am I building? Who depends on me? What will remain after I am gone? This perspective transforms daily decisions from survival mode into legacy mode. These are not separate from faith. These are the physical expression of faith. Responsibility is how you prove that your prayer was sincere. Structure is how you ensure that your intentions become reality. If you pray for stability but refuse to budget, you are lying to yourself. If you pray for wisdom but never learn, you are wasting time. Faith must become action, or it is merely fantasy. Real wealth is not built quickly. It is built slowly through integrity and persistence. Every day you honor your commitments, you add 1 brick to the foundation. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen the structure. Every month you save rather than squander, you increase your capacity to weather storms and seize opportunities. This is not exciting, this is not dramatic, but this is what works. The blessing of consistent action is not just financial security, it is self-trust. When you prove to yourself that you can keep your word, that you can delay gratification, that you can build something lasting, you become a different person. You stand taller, you speak with more authority, you sleep better at night. This is the true reward, dignity earned through responsibility. Your children will not remember your anxiety. They will remember your steadiness. Your community will not remember your struggles. They will remember your reliability. Your legacy will not be measured by the size of your estate, but by the character you demonstrated while building it. I close with this. You do not need a miracle. You need a plan. You do not need magic. You need discipline. You do not need luck. You need integrity. The 1-minute prayer I have described will help you maintain focus, but the prayer is worthless without the action that follows. Speak the words if they ground you, but then live the principles they represent. Build slowly, build ethically, build consistently, and when you look back years from now, you will see that the real wealth was not what you accumulated, but who you became in the process of accumulating it. Leave a comment committing to 1 practical action you will take this week toward financial stability.